Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the first setup video of the new series we're making, where we're gonna try to make our own multiplayer action RPG, or not action RPG, action roguelite from scratch all the way to finish. This is the first episode, and we will just go through basic setup stuff that I tend to do when I start projects. So, and sorry, I need to remove that. But at the moment, this is just a basic third-person template, except the stuff I went through in the previous video. So we're just gonna delete that. At the moment, it's just a basic third-person template. You all have it. I'm not gonna show you how to start that. It's just download the Epic Launcher, start a new project using the third-person template. I myself, I am using a CPP project. You don't have to do that. You can use blueprints, but I'm using CPP projects in case. Yeah, I probably do some. I might convert some stuff to CPP by my own later. But anyway. Or I know some things that I tend to change instantly when I start a project, so we're probably gonna do that, but it's not a requirement. That's just for me to be happy. So the first thing I do generally is we have this third-person template, or third-person character. I'm gonna rename this to BP Master Character. And then I tend to do two more that derive from that one. So this is the character, right? This is our master character that we're using right now. But I like to do this. I create a child blueprint class of the master character, and this is BP Master Player. And the master player will store the gameplay logic. And then I make another gameplay logic for players, is what I was about to say. And then we're gonna make another child called BP Master NPC. So the master character will store all of the logic that relates to all characters, but the master NPC will store the logic that relates to all NPCs specifically, and the master player will store everything that relates to the player specifically. So things like inputs and stuff like this will either be in the player controller or in the actual character. There's one thing you can instantly note here, is that this is on an NPC, but it does have a camera, which is unnecessary. Unless you're gonna do stuff like actually possess them or whatever. There might be cases where you would want all of them to be actual pawns with inputs and stuff like that. If you maybe have times when you want to possess different characters, or if you're gonna be able to possess an NPC or things like that. Then those would all have the same type of inputs and camera and stuff like that. But as I said, we're gonna keep everything basic, so there's no need for the master NPC here to actually have a camera, boom, and stuff like that. But it is in CPP, C++, or whatever you want to say. So I'm gonna load the Rider project up, or the Visual Studio, if that is what you're using. Or if you want to be basic, if you are just doing a blueprint project, you can just go into your normal character, because in the blueprint project, these are not in C++. So then you can just delete them here and add them to your player instead. So I'm just gonna copy these, put them in my master player, one more time. And we're gonna open the Rider project. It's gonna take a little while for it to load. While we wait for that to load, we can go into our character. And what I tend to do is I tend to go in here, and we have all of our skeletons. And generally with during game development, you will probably import a bunch of other asset packs or whatever. So there's gonna be lots of skeletons. Most of them are gonna be exactly the same. So I tend to rename the one I plan on keeping using to SK Master UE5. So that's the skeleton. I'm renaming it just so I know which one I will use in case I keep importing packs that also use this mannequin, so I know which one is which, because we might add sockets and stuff to this one. And same here. SKM Master Quinn, I'm gonna use the simple one, doesn't really matter, you can use whichever one you want. I think it's the simple one. Yeah, it's the simple one by default. Perfect. And if I go into my C++ folder, my game folder, you will see we have our character here. ADF is just what I named my project to. And if we go here, you can see our master character. See the class setting is the parent class, is not the Unreal character. It's the character from my actual project in this case. If you have a blueprint project, it's just gonna be the normal character. But in this case, it's our own character. So I want to remove the spring arm. I want to remove the camera component. If I just go to my character here, source folder, find our character, and remove the camera components. I'm probably gonna move the input to blueprints as well. So there, this is the header file. We're gonna go into the CPP file of our character as well. And you can see these are now red for me as I'm using Rider, but we need to actually remove the components as well in the CPP file. So there we go. And that's not gonna take any effect now. That's not gonna have any effect now because I need to compile the project. So let me pause while I do that. One more thing in the CPP file, no, in the header file of the character, I also need to remove these. They are referencing the camera boom and the follow camera, which we're not gonna use. So there we go. You can see I got a bunch of errors. So let me compile. And there we go, the project has now compiled, and if I now open the master character, we can see that there is no camera in here. And I did put it in here, so we can just, there we go. So we just move our camera, spring arm, since I copied it from before, but otherwise you just add a spring arm and a camera component. So now those are not in the NPC. Just to keep it clean, because we only want stuff that we're actually using in our NPC. No camera is needed there for now. And I have a spring arm and a camera in my player character, but the master one has none. And as I said, we will keep logic for our player inside of our master player, and logic for NPC this one and shared logic in this one. And the camera is not shared, it is owned by the player. Perfect. So the next step is to, what happens now is we don't have an actual character, and that is because we don't have an actual game mode. And the game mode, so let's create a new game mode that we're gonna use. So, and I'm actually gonna do like this, blueprints, characters, and move all of these inside of characters. Make a new folder called game management, and this will hold our game mode base. So you can just use game mode here. If you're in a blueprint project, you can use game mode here. I'm gonna use KDF game mode, which is the game mode for from my C++ file, which is the one here. In case I want to, yeah, it's easy to change later, so it doesn't really matter. But in case I want to change something in C++ in the future, I have it here now, but it could just be a normal game mode as well. I'm gonna call it GM GM KD, yeah, whatever. My project is called KDF, so it doesn't really matter. You can name it whatever, but I'm gonna keep KDF as my project name for now. I wanna put it here. So now we are using this game mode. And the player controller is a player controller. The default pawn is what we want to change here now to the player one, not the master character one. Because the master character, as I said, won't have any input. We're going to use the master player. So there we go. You can see I can now play again. And just to keep it super easy to separate them, we're gonna go into this one. Oh, we have characters here already. Well, this is blueprint characters, and this is just character models and stuff, so that's fine for now. So this is a material instance, and you can see it has some stuff like color. So we're gonna duplicate this. We're gonna duplicate it again. The player will be a blue tint, and the NPCs will be a red tint. Just so we can actually see them represented differently on the screen. So change the to player. NPC. Let's do it for the chest as well. C1 1 and duplicate this. NPC 02. So we have NPC 1, NPC 2, player 1, player 2. There we go. And I'm gonna copy this. Tint. Paste it in here. And for the player, I'm gonna copy this tint. And place it in here. There we go. So the player will use the player. Small mill. There we go. So there we go. Now we can clearly see a difference. So this is the player. Oh, the NPC should have the NPC. Did I change the master one? The master will have the defaults. There we go. Ah. There. There we go. There we have an NPC and we have our player. Perfect. And if we go here, if you're doing a blueprint project, I kind of assume most of you are doing blueprint projects, so I will not do any C++. There won't be any requirement for C++. Worries. But you probably have a bunch of inputs here, so we're gonna add. I just need to add them. What are they? Let me look. There we go. So if you have a blueprint project, you probably have something like this. If you have a C++ project, you don't have the inputs since they are in the base character in the Visual Studio file. So I want them. I actually want them in blueprints because yeah, it's a tutorial. We're gonna try to stick to blueprints, and I just might add stuff here so it's easier for you to follow and it's easier for me to follow. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and remove it in C++. So I'm gonna do that here as well, just in case you're actually following with the C++ project, but otherwise feel free to ignore this. We do not need the jump action. We do not need the move action. We do not need the look action. This is in the header file, so I'm just gonna remove that. We're gonna go to the character, and we're now gonna get some errors here, I would assume. Yep, we're not gonna bind the jump action. We're not gonna bind the move action or the look action. Might as well keep the input setup function. We're not gonna have a look function. Also not gonna have a move function. So we remove that from the CPP file and we go into the agent. It's not here. Yeah, and we can remove the functions as well. Remove the look because we do not need that. There we go. But as I said, I'm gonna keep the mapping context function in case I want that myself later, but that's it. And let me compile. There we go. It has now compiled. But we should still be able to move and look around, but we can't jump because I deleted the jump input. So let's add jump here. So I think that's enough. Yeah, and now we can jump again. So now we have all our actions in blueprints. I'm actually gonna do like this. So I'm gonna split the struct pin, and the X is gonna go there, the Y is gonna go there. Same here. X and Y. Let's make it look a little bit nicer. This is input. And for this, I will do like this. I'm gonna collapse this to a function. This should, as I said, already be here if you have a Blueprint project. Something similar, I don't know if this is exactly how they do it, but so we get control rotation, we break it, we get the yaw, and from the yaw rotation we get the right, and we get the forward vector. So forward goes into X, and no, forward goes into Y, and right goes into X, as you can see here. So I'm just gonna collapse this to a function. Call it get movement input. I'll make it a pure function. And we're gonna do right input forward input. Or it's not the actual input, it's the rotation, but that's just what I'm gonna call it. This is now a pure function. I'll plug the forward in there and the right in there. And once again, let's make it look a little bit nicer. Movement input. I want to keep this because I have a feeling this makes the rotation input a bit smoother. No, it's fine. And then we have jump input. Give them all some nice colors. And another comment, basic input. Gonna make this black. No. Oh. Blue. There we go. And that is the basic setup. We are now back pretty much where we want to be, even though it's a C++ project. We now have most of what we want in blueprints. And yeah, let's keep going from here in the next video. This is the basic of the basic setup. Actually, let's also set up everything that we're gonna need. We have the game mode, right? But we also want a... We have the game mode, but we're gonna go into project settings. We want a game instance as well. This is now just the runner one. We're gonna press this one, create new blueprint. Management, GI for game instance, KDF or your project name or whatever you want to call it. Now the project should be using that. Yeah, it's using that. It's fine. We want a player controller. Don't I have one here? Okay, okay. I'm just gonna use the player controller here, so you can use that one as well. PC for player controller. And we're gonna make sure that this game mode that we're using here is actually using this play controller. Game state, we're also probably gonna need a game state. So blueprint class, game state. I'm gonna create, is this one? There is one here, maybe. Nope. Blueprint class, game state. I'm gonna use this one. GS KDF. Once again, you call it whatever you want. KDF is just my project name. So that's all we're gonna need in most of the videos. We're probably gonna do a player state as well at some point, but we do not need quite a while. So these are all basic blueprints pretty much that are used in game management and used for storing and sending data between levels and replicating data between clients and inputs and whatever. So we're gonna need all of that if we're gonna make an actual game in just one system. So that's it for this one. I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, I'm gonna figure out what we are gonna start by doing. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.